You've probably heard that story about the frog in a pot of water, right? If you toss it into boiling water, it'll leap right out. But if you put it in cool water and just slowly turn up the heat, the frog doesn't even notice. It just kind of gets comfortable, then a little groggy, and then, well, it's too late. See, there's a type of change that happens so quietly, you don't realize it's happening until you're already cooked. And our teacher says this is the greatest fear in cultivation, especially for those of us who have been on the path for a while, who have more ability or maybe a higher status. It's the danger that sneaks in the moment we stop paying close attention.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? This is what we're calling gradual drift. It's this slow, almost invisible shift away from our original sincere heart. It's not like you wake up one day and decide to be arrogant. No, it's a quiet slide, a slow drift into these habits of ego and pride. And the reason it's so dangerous, the reason it's the biggest fear, is because it happens when the part of us that's supposed to be watching has fallen asleep.
So, in this explainer, we're going to face this thing head on. First, we'll get really clear on what gradual drift actually looks like in day-to-day life. Then, we'll dig into 4 really sharp distinctions to help us spot the difference between the real thing and the counterfeit. After that, we'll cover the solution, 6 very real, very practical things we can do to get back on track. And finally, we'll talk about what this means for your path right now. Okay, let's dive in.
So what is it that makes this slow drift so much more dangerous than, say, a big, obvious mistake? Well, it's pretty simple, really. When you make a big mistake, you feel it. You know you messed up. There's an opportunity to repent, to correct it. But gradual drift, that happens completely in your blind spot. It's a tiny compromise here, a little bit of self-justification there, one small inch at a time, until one day you look in the mirror and you barely recognize the person staring back. So what does this actually look like? Let's put some faces to this drift. It's that subtle need for everyone to agree with you, and that little flash of anger you feel when they don't. It's that feeling when someone new and talented comes along, and instead of feeling happy, you feel like your spot is threatened, so you start picking them apart, looking for flaws. It's that fear that someone else might shine brighter, so you find ways to hold them back, to suppress their talent. Or hey, how about loving the sound of your own voice, showcasing your abilities, talking until everyone is just worn out? Yep, that's pride. It's covering up a mistake with a lie, or pushing the blame onto somebody else. And maybe the most dangerous of all, it's drawing lines in the sand, creating an us and a them. So, as you look at this list, just be honest with yourself for a second. Did any of those make you flinch just a little?
This quote just cuts right to the bone, doesn't it? It shows us why that divisive heart is so poisonous. It goes against the entire foundation of our path. We all come from the exact same source. So when we start creating these little factions and rivalries, it's not just a personality clash. We are fundamentally breaking faith with our spiritual family, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Our teacher puts it this way: one wrong thought and you fall into the abyss. One wrong thought, and who knows how many beings' spiritual lives will be harmed. This isn't just about us. It's about the huge responsibility we have for each other.
Okay, so how do we catch ourselves before we drift too far? How do we sharpen our awareness? Well, Jigong Living Buddha gives us 4 incredibly clear contrasts. Think of them like a mirror that helps us tell the difference between what's real and what's fake inside our own hearts. Let's really take a closer look at these. First up, the teacher says, cultivation is about holding yourself in high regard, not promoting yourself. Now, what's the difference? Holding yourself in high regard is about respecting the divine Buddha nature that is inside you. It's an internal dignity. It's quiet. It doesn't need anyone else to approve of it. Promoting yourself, that's all about the outside show. It's about building up an image, fishing for compliments, needing other people to tell you you're doing a good job. One is solid and comes from within. The other is fragile and depends on everyone else. The second contrast is this. It's about confidence, not arrogance or conceit. True confidence is rooted in the Tao. It's calm, it's steady, it doesn't need to shout about how great it is. It knows its value without having to compare itself to anyone. Arrogance is the total opposite. It's loud, it's brittle, and it's always based on comparison. The only way it can feel good is by making someone else feel small. So it's constantly posturing and boasting just to prop up its own shaky foundation. And number 3, it's about humble cultivation, not putting on a soft manufactured act. Genuine humility is a real strength. It comes from knowing just how vast the Tao is and how little we actually know. It makes you open to learning, open to being corrected. But a soft, manufactured act, that's just a performance. It's someone playing the role of a humble person because they think it's a good look. It's actually a very sneaky form of pride wearing a humility costume. And the fourth and final contrast.
It's about diligently pushing yourself forward, not softly giving yourself up. This one is all about discipline. Diligently pushing yourself means you take ownership of your own growth. You put in the effort, day in and day out. Softly giving yourself up, though, is a kind of spiritual laziness that's disguised as acceptance. It's when we confuse being lazy with going with the flow. It's basically abandoning the will to be better.
And this quote just ties it all together so perfectly. You see, we can't cultivate by trying to hide from life's challenges. The messy stuff, the difficult people, the attachments, the conflicts we face every single day, those aren't obstacles getting in the way of our cultivation. They are the cultivation. They are the very fire that purifies us. The whole point isn't to run away from the world, but to use the world as our workshop, to borrow the ordinary to achieve the sacred. And as our teacher says, under heaven, there is nothing truly impossible to release. There is only the question of whether you can see it lightly enough.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem, we have the tools to see it in ourselves, so what's the cure? What's the actual medicine? Well, our teacher gives us a really powerful 6-part remedy. These are 6 concrete practices we can use to stop the drift and get ourselves pointed back in the right direction. Let's check them out.
Here they are, the 6 pillars of our remedy. And you can see how they build on each other. It all starts on the inside, right? Cultivating the heart. Then it moves outward into our actions, serving sincerely and teaching from real understanding. From there, it goes even deeper into our intention, learning what it means to truly serve the Tao. And finally, it cements our discipline, guiding ourselves first and always pushing forward. All right, let's break each one of these down.
So practice number 1, cultivate the heart. And the teacher gives us this incredible image. Feathers accumulate and sink a ship, water drops cut through stone, an ant colony can collapse a dam. You see, those tiny little habits, a flash of anger, a resentful thought, they seem like nothing, but over time they have the power to sink us. A simple heart means getting to a place where people just never see anger on your face, and you never hold on to grudges in your heart. Why no anger? Because you're filled with gratitude. Why no grudging? Because you've learned how to forgive. So ask yourself really, are you angry a lot? Are you holding on to old hurts? If the answer is yes, this is where the work begins. Second, we serve with full sincerity. Now, this is way more than just showing up and doing a job. It's about treating this path like it's your own life and death matter. And our teacher gives us a really clear formula here. Those who work hard without being willing to endure complaints, they have no virtue. Those who endure complaints without doing real work, they have no merit. You see that? It's a package deal. You need both. You need the grit to do the work, and you need the humility to take criticism or misunderstanding without complaining. That's how we build both true merit and virtue. The third practice is all about how we share the teachings. The blacksmith never leaves the anvil. Teaching the Tao never leaves the original nature. Think about that. Anything that comes just from your calculating mind, from your memory, that's just knowledge. You can repeat it, sure, but it gets old really fast. It's like serving reheating leftovers again and again. But when you speak from your original nature, from your own lived experience and genuine, hard-won understanding, that has real power. That's what touches people's hearts. And that kind of understanding doesn't come from books alone. It's forged on the anvil of your daily practice.
Fourth, we have to learn to truly serve the Tao. And the teacher asked this really sharp question. Are you serving the Tao, or are you just getting things done? See, just getting things done means you finish the task and you move on. Check the box. But serving the Tao means you use the task itself to change who you are. It means every moment of service becomes a mirror. The moment you feel irritated, reflect. Judgmental, reflect. Comparing, reflect. Thinking you're right and everyone else is wrong, reflect. When we start doing this, service stops being just a job and it becomes our path to real freedom.
The fifth practice is about guiding others. And the principle here is so simple but so profound. You have to guide yourself first. When you're trying to help someone else, are you also, in that very same moment, working on your own inner transformation? Because if we only focus on what's wrong with other people without dealing with our own stuff, we're the ones who are going to get led astray. Real influence, the kind that lasts, isn't about giving speeches. It's about living the truth. It comes from virtue. We have to influence through virtue, transform through virtue, respond to grievances with virtue, and most importantly, repay grace with virtue.
And the sixth and final practice is to advance diligently, to keep moving forward. Why do we get stuck? Why do we stall out on the path? Well, the teacher traces it right back to the source. Why can't you advance? Because there's no spirit. Why no spirit? Because there's no ambition. Why no ambition? Because of self-abandonment. It all starts with that one single act, giving up on ourselves. Once we get used to being lazy and lax, everything starts to feel like a chore. the rules, the service, the discipline. Diligent progress comes from a spirit that never gives up. And that spirit is fueled by the simple refusal to abandon yourself.
So, we've looked at the danger, we've learned how to see the warning signs, and now we have 6 powerful remedies. So the spotlight now turns to you, to your path. Because this isn't about reaching some perfect final destination where you can just stop. The path forward is about constant, continuous improvement. It's guided by this simple but profound idea. In cultivation, there is no best, there is only better.
Now this slide cuts right to the chase. I mean, all of this knowledge we've been talking about is totally useless if we don't do something with it. Knowing without learning means no affinity. In other words, if you hear about the teachings, but you don't even bother to study them, you don't even have a connection. But here's the kicker, the second part, learning without practicing means no share. You can read every book, you can memorize every lecture, but if you don't actually put it into practice in your own life, you get zero benefit. You have no share in the real wisdom. Practice is absolutely everything.
And this is just so important to remember. Cultivation is not a race against other people. I mean, if you win against someone else, but you lose the battle with your own bad temper, your own ego, or your own laziness, that's not a win at all, is it? The real work, the place where real growth happens, is when you compete only with yourself. The only person you're trying to be better than is the person you were yesterday. Can you be just a little more patient today? A little more compassionate? A little more aware? That is how you unlock the potential that's truly inside you. Just let this one sink in for a moment. This is such a message of hope. Because after all this talk about discipline and practice, it can feel like a lot. We might start thinking, I don't know if I have enough talent or enough wisdom for all this. But our teacher reminds us, the thing that matters most isn't your innate ability, it's your passion. It's that fire, that sincerity in your heart. Just try to remember how you felt when you first started on this path. That initial spark, that aspiration, reconnect with that. That's the fuel that will carry you all the way.
So we're going to end with a question, and it's not for me to answer, it's for you. We have covered a lot, but it all boils down to taking one single step. So looking at these 6 practices we talked about, cultivating the heart, serving with sincerity, teaching from understanding, serving the Tao, guiding yourself first, and advancing diligently, which one of those is calling to you right now? Which one, if you just started with it today, would make the biggest difference in stopping that gradual drift in your own life? Don't get overwhelmed and try to do them all at once. Just pick one and begin.